are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kings 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hey, this is my first time trying the YouTube option by myself. This old man so far has got it down. I know our guests are going to have some jokes about that in a little bit. But what are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at today's Spurs-Rockets game. Spurs have a chance to sweep the 4-game road trip. And that whole play-in versus tanking discussion just won't stop. Let's bring him on right now. He is my good friend, Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. First of all, Joe, happy birthday. We didn't get to say happy birthday to you here on Locked On Spurs. Thank you for the invite to the party. And can you believe it? So far, so good. The computers haven't blown up. I haven't destroyed. Skynet hasn't taken over because I'm actually running the YouTube option here for Locked On Spurs, Joe.
Well, the show isn't even over yet, so I wouldn't. And anything can happen. You know how you are with technology. I mean, as soon as you touch a computer, it explodes. So hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed. And there's no gremlins that'll show up in this version of Locked On Spurs.
I hope so. Not. By the way, again, man, happy birthday, man. Heard you had a good time.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a really good time. I mean, we stayed partying till the wee hours of the morning, like 5 a.m., Finally, we had
Party
to
animal.
call it. Yeah, man. Well, you were there with the Garcia clan. You fit right in.
Yep. That's one thing we noticed. We talked about right before we hit record button. So we're at Joe's house drinking, listening to good music. First time I seen a boombox in years. Joe had a classic looking boombox out in his backyard. And obviously he's Joe Garcia. He brings his family. They're Garcias. I have, at least we don't know Joe. At least we're not related. But I'm a Garcia too. But it was so weird because Joe had this tent in his backyard. And every single Garcia that showed up sat on one side of the tent all together. It was like a magnet, Joe, the Garcia magnet.
Yeah, basically, it was a big canopy that I had outside, for getting us a little bit more comfortable from the sun and whatnot, because it was kind of hot that
Yeah, it
day.
was brutal. It was
Yeah,
hot.
we had little table and we had chairs all over the place, and yeah, all the Garcias were kind of in one section. Everybody gravitated
But it
together.
wasn't like it was planned, though. That was a weird
No,
thing.
it
It's not
was
like
not.
we had reserved seating for the Garcias. It was nothing like that. We all
No.
just sat together.
Yeah, it was odd. So we're like, maybe somewhere somehow, Jeff will, hey, this is a distant cousin, and it'll be one of my cousins or something, be like,
And
oh,
up there's the link. Yeah, there's
yeah,
the
there
link.
it is.
By the way, you did a good job with the food, man. You Joe was in with me in his kitchen, and I eyed the sausage, and I said I'm just gonna have a still sample. I could not stop. Joe's sausage was really, really good. Joe, I didn't know you had it in you, Mister BBQ guy.
Yeah, no, I got a little bit of barbecue skills, not I'm not gonna say that I'm the best, but I can hold my weight on the grill, So we made that and the barbecue smoked chicken, the sausage, potato salad, beans, the works. So yeah, Jeff was just going to town though on the
I was,
on the
man.
sausage because it was smoked with mesquite wood. So he was like, "Oh, this is so good. This is so good."
I couldn't stop. Joe saw I could not stop. It was so delicious. But Joe, again, happy birthday. Glad you're celebrating another one. And hope you have a great, great year. But speaking of years, Joe, the Spurs season is winding down. The fourth game of a 4-game road trip begins today. Spurs-Rockets. Spurs have a chance to sweep the this 4-game road trip. Joe, let's dive into tonight's game. On paper, Joe, this is a team that the Spurs should beat, but you never know what you're going to get with this Spurs team, Joe.
You never know what you're going to get with the Spurs team. That's exactly correct. And with the Rockets, I believe the Rockets have bested the Spurs as well this season when the Spurs should have handedly gotten the dub against the Rockets. And again, you're looking at the Rockets, a team who, for all intents and purposes, is tanking. This should be an easy win for the San Antonio Spurs, but you got to knock down your shots, and as we've seen in some of these games, the Spurs start out cold sometimes, and they just can't seem to recover from that, much as we saw against the Pelicans. Not this last game because the Spurs actually beat the Pelicans, but the game prior when they were at the AT&T Center. I was here and it got ugly quick. Hopefully that does not happen. They're able to come out of the gate running and put this game away quickly. You don't want to give this Rockets
Right.
team any hope. And right now, being that there's so many, it's not even a lot of games left in the season. Every game is crucial, especially if the Spurs are going to, want to go ahead and make the play-in game. I mean, they're right in the hunt right now. So every
Yeah.
game is a must win, in my opinion.
Spurs come into tonight's game 30-44 on a three-game road winning streak, while the Rockets are dead last in the West, 20-55, but they've won their last two. They are 4-6 in their last 10 games. Those Houston Rockets. Looking at some more statty stuff here for those stat heads. We're looking at the Spurs Rocket series. The Spurs got a lot of luck on their side right now. They've won 6 of the last 9 games versus Houston, so that bodes well for the Spurs. We mentioned the Spurs are on a 3-game win streak. But we got to look at that third quarter. Remember how forever, like almost all the whole season, Joe, the Spurs were losing after the third. Forget about it. Write it up as an L. That's changed of late. But this is something you want to look at for on the Houston side. The Rockets are also 2-22 at home when trailing after the third period. Rockets have been lighting it up, though, despite their bad record, Joe. They've scored at least 115 or more points in their last 2 games. Joe, if it becomes if it becomes a shootout, the Spurs can hang. We've seen that this year. But Joe, we're gonna have to really see the Spurs defense kick in tonight.
Yeah, and if you look at I guess the standings, not the standings, but the matchup from the beginning of this season. Their first matchup was January the 12th of 2022. The Rockets won that game 112-92. And then the second matchup, which was on January the 25th, the Spurs won 113-92. And
Mhm.
here's the thing that I'm getting at. The Spurs and the Rockets met up again as early as February the 2nd. The Spurs won 114-92. So you kind of see what's happening right here. The
Mhm.
magic number is in this matchup. If you can hold your opponent to 92 points, you got a really good shot of winning the game.
Absolutely.
So hopefully the Spurs can, get some stops when they need to and hold us the Rockets to the magic number of 92 points or less. And maybe that would bode well for them to go ahead and get a win. But as you stated too, I mean, 112, 113, 114 has been the final score in these matchups. Not too shabby. So it's showing that the Spurs, in fact, can, you know, keep up with the with the Rockets
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Again, defense. It all comes down to defense, and hopefully they can make some good decisions down the stretch, Jeff, because this is still a young team.
The Spurs are 2-1 versus the Rockets this regular season. And looking at some numbers here, Joe, we're talking about defense, and yeah, you hit it on the head. You got to slow down Houston because they can't score. But it's not like Houston is doing themselves any favors. The Spurs are outscoring the Rockets this season 129.7 points per game, while Houston is averaging about 112.7. So the Spurs, definitely can light it up against Houston if need be. Now, free throws. Let's talk about that. Um, Houston is definitely getting to the free throw line a lot more during the series. These last 3 games they met, they're getting there to about 62 times, while the Spurs have only gotten there 53 times. Joe, is that something that you got to look at for tonight? Is getting to the free throw line, because we've seen the Spurs struggle just getting to it, just getting those attempts.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Spurs, they're just not getting enough respect from the refs. I don't know for whatever reason it is. We saw Coach Pop get tossed the other night. Because he's seen enough.
Yep.
But you got to make the refs make the call. And they're just I guess because maybe the Spurs are such a young team
Yeah.
that they still have not earned the respect of the refs. But at the same token, the Rockets are still a young team as well.
Hmm.
So, this is gonna be an interesting one. Let's see how this game is gonna be called. Are they gonna let them just play it out, or are they gonna call every single little ticky-tacky foul? You breathe on somebody, it's gonna be called a foul. That is gonna be horrible because I think when you call a game that way, it slows down the game for both teams, and at that point, it's just very frustrating because 'cause you're having to play not only against your opponent, but also against the refs. Hopefully, things can change tonight, and it'll be called an even game. That's all I can hope for.
That's all you can hope for. But Joe, you said a key word there, even. I like feeling even. In not just in games and hoping, hey, I feel good. Everybody's getting fair treatment on the free throw line, but also in real life, feeling even with your health. That's why Built Bar is here. Look, it's that time of year again. Look, I get it. A lot of people probably giving up on their New Year's resolutions, losing weight. But hey, if you want to get back on the track, if you want to stick to losing weight, then I suggest that you look at Built Bar. It almost feels like you're really not eating a health bar because it tastes so delicious, it's like a pastry, it's like a snack, and it'll also help you get back on track if your New Year's resolution is to drop weight. They have a puff flavor, Joe. I don't know if you know about this. It's a puff flavor. It's like you're eating cereal. It's really, really delicious. And if you haven't seen any of them, just go to builtbar.com right now. They are they have so many flavors from the puff marshmallow to cinnamon to coconut marshmallow to banana cream pie. The list goes on and on. My favorite still is the cricket flavor. Yes, Joe, they had a cricket flavor.
Mm.
Would you eat a cricket, Joe?
I'm gonna have to say no, man.
Well, if you try the cricket flavor Built Bar, you're gonna like it. I promise you, it's not that bad. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. Yes, even the Pluff brand too, as well. 100% real chocolate. Yeah, you cannot go wrong. Low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bars with these. They are better. They're better than any typical candy bar can be from anywhere. And those candy bars have 200 to 300 calories. You don't want that. Go to built.com, scroll down to the macros chart, see how much you'll be blown away with the high protein, low calorie, high fiber, low carb. Most Built bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Yeah, compare that to an average candy bar. At Built Bar, they're all about taste. Make the delicious choice first and foremost in your life, and then go to builtbar.com. Go to built.com, use promo code LOCK15, get 15% off your order. Promo code LOCK15 for 50% at built.com. Joe, I'm definitely going to need a lot of Built Bars to lose some of the weight I ate at your birthday party. I ate a lot of sausage.
Yeah, but it's all protein, man. You didn't have no tortilla, so
No,
you
no, I
got.
had one. You made me one tortilla. So I
Oh
mean, I
yeah,
cheated a
okay.
little bit.
One tortilla. Well, you just go ahead and just maybe run on the treadmill a little longer.
Okay. Yeah, easy said than done. Um, let's go and get back to tonight's game, Spurs Rockets here. Um, you're looking at the matchups, Joe, and I'm looking at it. This seems to always have an issue in the middle, and we've seen it before with Christian Wood. He definitely has played well against San Antonio. Same thing with Eric Gordon. For some reason, he sees Spurs colors, he goes off. Is there a player you're looking at on the roster side on Houston to say, just slow him down? Is it Eric Gordon? Is it Wood? Is it Kevin Porter Jr.? Is it Jalen Green? Is it the other rookie, Alperen Sengun? Where do you stand?
At this point, I just say the Spurs are just going to have to really clamp down and play decent defense because you never know which one of these players can go off on you. You clamp down on some of these younger players for the Houston Rockets, and one of them will just break loose. I mean, the thing is, the Spurs just have to be able to play smart basketball, and that's just my opinion. It could be anyone, for the Rockets stepping up and having a great night. At this point, you just never know what's going to happen when you have this young Spurs team playing against a young Rockets team. Any one of these players can go off on both sides, either side. Keldon could have a huge night tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where anything can happen. Just play really smart basketball. That's all you got to do. Just take care of the basics. Don't go ahead and have a lot of lapses on the defensive end. Don't try to force the issue. Kind of be a little bit more patient. I think good things can happen for the Spurs, but again, they have to actually play smart basketball and try to go ahead and keep some of this younger core for the Houston Rockets
Right.
from just going off because any one of these young guys can catch fire against the Spurs. And if that's the case, then it's going to be one of those nights, Jeff, where maybe one of these young guys goes off for 40 points,
I
because they just
know.
can't stop them. I hope not. I hope not.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing the Kevin Porter Jr. Matchup is again, Murray and Keldon or whoever's playing out there because the injury list is always changing. But yeah, he's definitely an exciting young kid. I love to see what he is going to do against a guy like DeJounte Murray. Also, I've always been a fan of Alperen Sengun. Part of me wanted the Spurs to draft him. He's very exciting, very fun to watch. So definitely keep an eye on him. And then, yeah, Eric Gordon, a guy that seemingly just loves to play against the Spurs.
Yeah.
Oh man, the Rockets are tanking, aren't they, Joe? They're in full tank mode, right?
They're in full tank mode, man. There's they're not even trying to hide it, but the Spurs gotta they gotta play smart, like I said, because even though Rockets might be trying to tank, sometimes the Spurs just don't play up to par, and
Yep.
they can't hit the broadside of a barn, in
Hmm.
the third or fourth quarter. And I mean, if you're trying to play a team that's tanking and you're not scoring any points, I mean, it's not going to be long. You got to
Absolutely.
be able
Yeah.
to knock down those shots. And if you're not knocking down shots, get to the free throw line. Make the refs make the call. Put you on the stripe. Get a couple points. Slow down the game. I mean, get yourselves back in if you're falling behind. I mean, you got to play smart, man. And that's the thing. I think they're starting to get things dialed in here as the season is
Hmm.
coming to an end. So I'm
Yeah.
going to say I'm confident that the Spurs will go ahead and play good enough to get the dub against the Rockets tonight.
I'm with you. I think the Spurs get the win over Houston today, sweep the road trip. Definitely trigger a lot of the Spurs fans that are pro tank. We'll talk about that in a few seconds here. But we'll leave you with this and why defense is going to be key tonight. Houston has scored 110 plus points in 4 of their last 6 games. They are 18 and 18 when scoring 110 plus points this season. So yeah, they're about 500. Yeah, they definitely love to jack up the points. So make sure your San Antonio Spurs are playing defense. So Joe, if we're predicting a win, we know that is going to set some Spurs fans, not all, they're going to set them off. You got pro tank versus pro play in. Right now, the Spurs are definitely not tanking. They've won 3 in a row. They're going for number 4 in a row. Um, the players are coming out saying they ain't. They're gunning for the play-in. Joe, do you want? Oh, let's start off with the tank though. Let's start off with the team tank though. Do you understand why those segment of Spurs fans would like to see the Spurs get more L's for perhaps a stronger draft position? That is sensible, isn't it?
I absolutely see where they're coming from, Jeff. At the end of the day, Spurs fans want to see change. You know, they've they've got grown tired of the losing. They want to go ahead and get see the team back to their winning days. When they're talked about as, hey, they're going to be one of these teams you got to look at because they're going to be vying for a chip. Right now, it's like moral victories, and I get that Spurs fans, the faction of Spurs fans, want change now. But at the end of the day, too, you got to look to see what you have in front of you. You have a good young core, but when you look at this from the flip side, Jeff, if you're always going to be flirting around with a 10th pick, 11th pick, 12th pick, 13th pick, anything around there, you've seen what the quality or caliber of player is going to kind of garner for your team. And that's basically going to be role players. Spurs fans want to see a superstar emerge. And the only way that they see this happening is if the Spurs can go ahead and get a higher pick. Now, right now, coming towards this NBA draft, they have multiple first round picks. They can go ahead and try to trade up and move up in the draft, or they can go ahead and see if maybe they get lucky and one of these players that they pick in this one of the three that they're going to be able
Right.
to pick in the first round might pan out and surprise people. But if you're not in the top 5, you're not really going to get that quality of player that Spurs fans are going to be enamored with or happy with. But again, there's no guarantee that any of these players are going to plan out to be bona fide superstars. It's a gamble, but why wouldn't you want your team though to go ahead and get as much experience as they can, whether that is getting into the play-in tournament, and maybe they can go ahead and build momentum coming in next season. Hey, we made the play-in tourney. Right now the Spurs, they could best the Lakers. They could beat the Pelicans. They could even beat the Clippers. Who knows? Let's see what this team can do. Let's see how far they can go. That's my mentality. Don't fall in love with the tank because it can't always solve all your problems.
Yeah, and look, to me, it's logical. I get that. Not everything's a guarantee in life. You're not guaranteed if you tank, you're going to get the number one pick or number two or number three. And even if you don't, tank and you go for the play-in, which we'll talk about in a bit, you can still find some gems late in the draft. The perhaps one of the biggest examples is Nikola Jokic, second rounder. Now he's MVP and he's the key piece for Denver. Giannis, Kawhi Leonard, number 15. Those happen. Joe, is this a situation too where maybe you can lean more towards team play-in because this current draft it doesn't have the player that screams Tim Duncan, LeBron James, like a bona fide megastar.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at. There's not another Tim Duncan in this particular draft. This draft class beyond your maybe 3 or 5th pick is kind of weak after that. You're going to be able to get some decent players, but they're more than likely going to pan out to be role players, maybe coming off the bench, being with that second unit. Um, they're not going to be the caliber of player that you're going to say you're going to want to build a franchise around. You know, we know that DeJounte at this point, DeJounte Murray needs some help. Spurs, if they want to kind of get with the way that things are trending, they'd want to go and look for a shooting big man. Someone who can kind of stretch the floor, go up and get you, some rebounds, go ahead and be able to knock down a mid-range jumper, and also go ahead and knock down a couple threes here and there. We don't have that in one Jakob Portal, which he's a great player, as far as a solid starting center. But if you can go ahead and get somebody that can really change the dynamic for this team and kind of get with what's going on with the modern NBA, that would help the team tremendously. And I think that's exactly what Spurs fans are wanting. They're like, why don't we go after this player? And why don't we do this? And why don't we do that? But at the end of the day, everybody's just an armchair GM. The only people that are going to really make these changes are going to be Brian Wright, RC, the
Yeah.
front office, and all them. And they are looking at what's going to be in the best interest of the team moving forward. I get the frustration. I get everything that Spurs fans are going out there and saying, from the team tank to the team play-in. At this point, why can't you just sit back and enjoy the team for what it is? We know that they're
Yeah.
not going to go ahead and go for a championship, but let's see how far they can go and just enjoy whatever happens.
It's talk about team playing now. There's also the segment of fans that are saying, push it, go for it. And you get in there, make some noise. And there's benefit to that too. I think the biggest one is the experience for this young Spurs team. I had a chance to talk to Lonnie Walker recently at an event here in San Antonio. And he told me that it would mean a lot for the team, that he wanted to remind everybody, when in the article, or my chat with me saying, hey, we're a young team. We can use this type of experience. I get it. The play in is not the play off. I get that. And I know there's some Spurs fans that make fun of the play in, calling it like the NIT or, just like scoffing at it. Like it's pointless. But there is value, isn't it, there, Joe?
Yeah, the value is you're getting some experience. As I stated too, the team has something to build upon for next season. And I know Spurs fans are going to come out. Some of them were, well, another moral victory. It's like nobody's going to be happy until this team kind of returns to form. That's the only thing that's going to go ahead and solve this division that you're seeing between team tank and team play in. Once this team starts winning again, and they're like maybe the 6th or 5th seed in the Western Conference, Spurs fans will still be able to find little things to nitpick here and there. But I bet you the overall consensus is, hey, they're going in the right direction. It's only going to be a matter of maybe another season or so before they're up there again in the tops of the Western Conference. But
Mhm.
I think the team is going, and they're already trending in the right direction, Jeff. To me, the team playing, all it's doing is giving these younger players more experience, and more experience is going to be crucial to the development of this young team going forward into next season. That means that they're only going to get better. And the only way that they can get better are they're going to have some heartbreaking losses. That could be the play-in, or they could go ahead and have those moral victories where they actually win a game in the play-in tourney. That to me would be huge for this young team. I think that would be something that they're going to really be proud of themselves and really go in the offseason and work really hard on different aspects of their game so they can come back even better. next season. This team wants to win, Jeff. I mean, they've lost a lot of close games this season, and they've made a lot of mistakes this season.
Right.
They want to win. At the end of the day, they all want to win. So, this team tank versus team playing, to me, it's there's no right or wrong answer. You're going to be able to stand on this hill with whatever you're going to go ahead and go into battle with. But at the end of the day, all I'm saying is just take a step back, enjoy the team for what they are, and if they make the play in, great. If they don't and they get a higher draft pick, great. But we really can't control the season. So just sit back and enjoy the ride.
I'm looking at the situation here, and my first thought is, you know, okay, they make the play in, that could be fun. And think about it too, Joe. It's only been the second time that they'll make the play in. They only made it once, and in that one time, they were still kids. They still are, but they were, still leaning on DeMar and Patty and Rudy Gay, and it was those guys that were really leading the charge um, in that play-in game versus Memphis years ago. This would be their first time without those type of training wheels, and to get that experience, I get it. It's not a playoff game; it's a play-in game. It's to me, it's still valuable. So I'm okay, with them making the play-in if need be. But we're definitely going to be talking about more about the play-in versus team tank in just a few minutes about NBA Top Shot. Joe, do you have NFTs?
I don't have any NFTs right now.
You
I'm
don't?
wanting to make me some NFTs and then sell them. So I
Yeah.
like Top Shot.
Yeah, well, NBA Top Shot is the officially licensed NFT of the NBA. Allows you to connect to a community of hundreds of thousands of NBA fans as a natural progression of fantasy sports. Joe, it's kind of like trading cards, right? It's just virtual trading cards. Um, Joe, obviously you're way more into the tech side of stuff like this, but and it's right. It's basically just a trading card, right? But it's a virtual one um, that you own, correct?
Yeah, it's like a little clip, a dunk or
Yeah.
a highlight, and you're basically owning that highlight, and you can trade, just like you would
Yep.
a tangible, card, basketball card. It has value.
Absolutely.
It shows that you're the owner, and it's what's hot right now. We saw Top Shot when it was first coming in. Jeff was telling everybody about it. So I mean, it's here and it's popular, and the cards actually can be traded for money, and they're worth quite a
Hmm.
bit now. Some of these highlights
Absolutely.
sell for a lot of
Absolutely.
money.
Absolutely. Investors include Michael Jordan and Kevin Durant, not to mention a lot of NBA players in the community like Tyrese Halliburton, Cole Anthony, Harrison Barnes. They're like trading cards. They're very akin to the stock market, as Joe is talking about right now, being able to trade, even like fantasy sports. You can look at it as that as well. So I hear a lot of people ask me all the time, why would I buy a highlight when I could just watch it on YouTube for free? Well, it's not just about watching the highlight. It's about having ownership stake in what's akin to the stock market, as I was talking about, for the NBA's greatest highlights. So, hey, if you sign up today for Top Shot, that's the best way to start. Is go sign up, get yourself a starter pack. You can pull an NFT of a superstar like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, rookies like Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley for just $9. And if you don't pull your favorite player from a starter pack, you can get moments from the marketplace that appeal to you. I recommend the challenges. The challenges are the best way to earn exclusive moment NFT rewards. Go check it out. Top Shots Moments can get you access to events and can be used in fantasy mini games on a regular basis. NBA Top Shot is the future of being an NBA fan. Own officially licensed rare NFT from the greatest moments in NBA history. Sign up today at lockedon.nbatopshot.com. And if you have a car, Joe, I know you're going to want to listen to this because you're definitely a car guy. This episode is also brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever increasing numbers of makes and models, it's impossible for the local chain auto parts store to keep stock of all the parts you need. That's why you got to go to rockauto.com. You have a computer, rockauto.com. You got a cell phone, rockauto.com. That easy. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Don't go spending up to 30, 50%, or even 100% more for the same part from a chain store or car dealership. Rock Auto is a family business doing it right for years, for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for each and every customer, and they got everything: tail lamps, motor oil, new carpet, the list goes on and on. Explore the easy to use website today. Find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now, see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box? So they know that we sent you. An amazing selection and reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Rockauto.com. Joe, if why does it feel like it's win-win when it comes to team tank and team play-in? It feels like if you do team tank, okay, fine, I get it. It makes sense. If you do team play-in, it's the same kind of feeling. Fine, go get it. Is it because of the fact that Spurs fans and me know that they'll be all right because they got that cap flexibility and all those draft picks in the offseason?
That's the thing. I don't think Spurs fans believe that they're gonna be all right. That's why you have the faction again of team tank versus team play-in. They really don't trust the front office at this point because they haven't, in their opinions, made the changes needed to actually get this team back up to par. And the thing is that nowadays, with all the information that's available as far as the ongoings of the salary for a particular
Right.
player, how many years that we have, the Spurs signed a particular player for, that you're looking at the salary cap, and all this data is out there for everybody to see. So you have, again, a lot of these, you know uh, I guess, bona fide GMs, on social media.
Hmm.
And a lot of them are really smart too. They're really savvy, and they're like, hey, there's not a lot of people that are going to be available this year, so the team can't get any better. So like, they're like, we need to go ahead and just go ahead and tank so we can get a higher pick. It's a double-edged sword. And then you're like, oh, let's go ahead and just see what happens, and let the team get some experience. And that's where you have your your clashing. It's like,
Hmm.
I think that the team tank are really, at the end of the day, they're the realist. They can
Hmm.
see what's going to happen, what's going to transpire. Do this? Do the Spurs really have a legitimate shot of going out after a big name free agent? Probably not, but they're going to have a lot of cap space. They can go out and maybe get somebody else, but it's still not going to satisfy the team tank. Then you have the faction of Spurs who are, hey, let's go ahead and go, and let's see how far the team can go if they get into the play-in. Much experience, much needed experience for the team. They're going to grow. They can possibly get better, come back hungrier, and not be playing around with getting into the playing game. Maybe moving up in the standings,
Hmm.
but again, the key thing here is winning cures all, Jeff. And I think right now Spurs fans just need to be patient. Me and you are OGs. We've been through this before.
Oh,
It's
yes.
not new to us. We've seen what happens when you have to rebuild again, and you go to the draft and you start making some trades, and you see, take some shots or chances on diamonds in the rough. What happened with Manu Ginobili? What happened with Tony Parker? And after so many struggles and heartbreaks, and then finally they put things together, and then they get back to the promised land and they actually win a chip. Those are really special moments. This team, they could possibly be on the right track to go and maybe start, making strides. But again, you have to be patient. You have to be there for the struggles. You have to be there for the heartache. And the best thing is, like I always say, Jeff, the mantra for this season is, before it even started, I said, it's gonna hurt. And
Yeah.
sure enough, growing pains. And that's what I mean by that. But you got to be supportive of the team no matter what happens. If they're losing, be supportive of them. If they're winning, be happy for them. You earned this, Spurs fans. So at the end of the day, just be patient, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It again, in my opinion, I don't think there should be a team tank versus team play-in mentality. I
Mm.
think it should be team win-win, because if
Yeah.
you win if you make the play-in, you win if you miss games and you get those lottery balls. It'd be different now, Joe. It'd be different if there was like, oh my God, this guy is going to be the next LeBron James or the next
Yeah.
Allen Iverson or the next Tim Duncan. There's not that. I mean, I don't think Chet Holmgren is that, is he, Joe? I don't think Bonchero is that, is he?
I don't think so. I mean, you really don't know. That's the thing. When you're looking towards the NBA draft, you're gambling. You're hoping that these players will pan out at the next level, which is the NBA. Not everybody does, you know? Remember what happened with that player from years ago, top level pick? Was it Jim Morrison? He
Oh,
didn't.
oh, you mean Adam
Adam,
Morrison?
Adam Morrison. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Jim Morrison.
Jim
Adam
Morrison, was rocking
was
out, man.
for the door. Yeah,
For the
but
doors.
Adam Morrison with the little stash that he had, he didn't really pan out. So I mean, it happens. I mean, look at what happened with that one draft pick. What was his name? Greg Oden. You know,
Yep.
he was picked ahead of Kevin Durant. I bet you Portland wishes they could do it all over again.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, and that's the thing. It's a gamble. Not every top pick is going to pan out at the next level. And sometimes, like you stated, Jeff, you're going to go ahead and find these diamonds in the rough further down in the draft.
Hmm.
So anything can
Yeah.
happen. Anything can happen.
Yep. They call it a lottery for a reason because you don't know what you're gonna get. You can increase your odds, but even then, I think I think tanking hasn't really been proven to win, right? I
It,
think if
it
you in the NBA, right? Is that correct?
tanking is just a mentality. You're hoping that we're gonna tank, we're gonna tank, we're gonna tank so we can get all these picks. But again, it's just a roll of the dice. Sometimes you might find a diamond in the rough, but is it really gonna make your whole team better by tanking? No.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to, have these guys pull together and see how far they can get every single season because it's gonna make them stronger as a collective unit. I know it's the thing is moral victories. All this team is playing for is moral victories. What they're playing for is to get better, and they have to go through all this to get that experience and they gotta get angry, they gotta get frustrated with themselves because they know that they're capable of playing a lot better. And I think this team is starting to put some things together again, as the season's coming to an end, we're starting to see them play a little bit more consistent. Now, if they can still go ahead and make the play, and I think that would actually help their morale overall, because even though they might not be playing for a chip, or
Hmm.
going far into the playoffs, this actually does help them, like you said, Lonnie just said, "Hey, this team wants to win." That's a good mentality to have.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
You want a winning team, right?
you
Correct.
want a winning team. They want to win. It's not like they're going out there trying to lose every single game. It just doesn't. You can't win every single night, especially when you're going through this transition that the Spurs are going through. So the team tank versus team playing, I think it needs to stop. Everybody needs to stop for a minute
Yeah. Chill
and,
out.
and yeah, chill out and extend the olive branch to each other. Let's be friends.
No, Joe, better. Make them a tray of sausage. Your tray, you just whip up
Right?
some, and then that'll be the olive branch right there.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
those were
With the
good, man.
tortilla.
Everybody will shut up. Make a
Yeah, I'll
tortilla
throw
out
in
of
some
that. Yeah.
tortilla, yeah.
Joe even went the extra mile for me at his house. He put in some rotel for me. It was awesome.
Oh, there
Good
you go.
idea. That was a good idea,
Telling you,
Joe.
man. That's all you
Yeah.
need sometimes when you're out in the backyard drinking with your buddies. You need some tortilla, some sausage, a little bit of rotel with some mustard on it. Boom, you're done.
I forgot about the mustard. That's right. I doused that sausage with the mustard, and when I made the tortilla in it, and yeah, it was good. Joe, first of all, thank you for hopping on in this episode of Locked On Spurs. The first time we're trying the YouTube out format here. Um, yeah. So far, the Gremlins didn't show up. They haven't blown up. So we're on the right track here at the YouTube option for Locked On Spurs. Joe, tell us what's going over there at Two Shots Podcast. Why should everybody be tuning in?
Well, we're going to actually have a new special episode that's going to be coming up here pretty soon. As everybody well knows, our good friend Michael De Leon did pass away recently. So this next episode that we're going to be doing Two Shots Podcast is going to be dedicated to Mr. Michael De Leon, which was a great figure here for anybody that was trying to become an aspiring journalist. Played a huge role in a lot of the journalists that we have that cover the San Antonio Spurs. So we're going to dedicate that episode to him.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Joe has asked me to help with that. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Also, hopefully it'll be recorded in Joe's swanky studio. I've seen it. He added some new bells and whistles. And yeah, you can talk about my good friend who passed away, Michael DeLeon. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes. Now YouTube. Yay, I did the first one by myself, Joe. Yay. About
There
to
you
blow
go.
up. No, hey
That's a
Joe,
moral,
but
that's a
but
moral
I
victory.
that's a moral victory right there. But I knew that I already reached the age of oldness when I had a 20-year-old have to train me for 2 days on how to operate this thing.
Oh,
Remember
man.
back in the day when you had to help your parents set the VCR timer, fix the watch for them, teach them how to use the remote control? I'm there, Joe. This sucks.
Oh man, I've been on the forefront of live streaming for some time, so yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
you have. Yeah, you have.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So to me, it's easy, but when you're not really tech savvy, because such as you, Jeff, it's gonna be
Not.
elite. So you
And
and tech
and and
don't get along.
and a story that I will share about me and Mike and Tech on your episode of Two Shots Podcast. That's coming out sooner than later, hopefully. If not, hey, we got to take time with it. It's going to be a very special episode. So for Joe Garcia, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.